be teaching you how to like one way to kill off your player. So there's other ways to do this, obviously, and it all depends on what you want to happen when your player dies. But for now, I'm just going to have my player kind of change their image and also do a little jump and then remove their collision with everything else in the area. So to do that, first thing you want to do in your constants class is add this collision bit called a nothing bit. Collision bits I don't think were previously discussed, but they essentially allow you to set what things can collide with what objects. So if your player can collide with enemies, or if they can collide with rocks or pipes or something like that, you can set like a pipe bit, player bit, enemy bit, and depending on what you pass in through your fixture, it tells you which one can have collision between them. So we're going to add a nothing collision bit, which means that, and we're not going to set any other code to this, it just means that there's going to be nothing else that can collide with whatever has this bit. So in your player class, you want to add two new variables. The first thing is the texture region for the player being dead, and you also want to add a boolean to check if the player is dead, so you know when to switch to this texture. So then here you want to add in your new texture. So for me, that's still my Mario texture, and you have to figure out which uh, specific texture it is within your texture atlas. And then you should go and add a case for the player being dead. I forgot to mention up here in your enum state, you also want to add a dead state, which would allow you to do this. So add a case for if the player is dead, and just set the region equals to the player being dead region. After that, you want to check if your player is dead. So this this boolean, we haven't set anything to it yet, but later on it'll say true if the player is dead, and then we will return the state of the player as being dead. Here you gotta make sure this is an else if, because if he's jumping and he's also like these states can't like overlap. So make sure it's an else if. This one can be an if because it really doesn't matter, but you can also change it if you want. And the last thing is on enemy hit, which you should have originally made with your creating enemies when we taught you how to make enemies. You should change this to true, and you should also set a new filter. The filter is going to be check for this nothing bit and make sure that and going to filter like objects that have this bit are the only thing that the player can collide with. However, nothing else, we've set nothing else to have this collision bit, so the player won't collide with anything else anymore. So then for your fixture, so for every fixture in this body, which is only the player, then you set the filter to the fixture's data. After that, you can apply a little jump, so Mario jumps up and then dies, how it should look in the real game, and that should be it. So if you run this now, you should be able to see your little Mario or your player sprite die essentially. There's also other ways to do this. Depending on what you want to do, maybe you don't want Mario or you don't want your player to like not collide with anything. Instead, you want the whole game to stop and like some image to display. There's ways you can do that too. You can kind of like set booleans to prevent checking for inputs or something like that if you want to prevent uh, people from clicking once the player dies, or something else. It all depends. Okay, now, so you can see that I have Mario here, but if I touch a sprite, I then change my image and I fall off the map because I no longer collide with these ground tiles, nor do I collide with these enemy bodies which currently don't have a graphic. Yep, that's all.